On this episode of Journey to the River, Willie leads us through a journey of restoration of identity and inner peace during many life transitions. We set out on a plotted course on the road to destiny. That road is not ever absent the tolls of pain, bridges of disappointment, nor the traffic of trauma. For that reason, at appointed times, God calls us off-road to take a journey to his healing river. The precursor to that healing journey can be a season of success of failures, the start of new relationships, or the end of old ones, the beginning of new roles, the taking on of new responsibilities, loss, tragedy, or just stillness. No matter what, we know his plan is to work all things together for my good, your good, our good. God wants us to be whole just as much as he wants you to be his. This journey, although leading to freedom and wholeness, isn't without its challenges, and only the brave hearts have had the courage to endure. Here are some of their stories. Follow us on the journey to the river. My brother Willie.
What's going on, Sheree?
The man,
how you doing?
The myth, the legend, the chef, soldier, the husband, the father. Man, so many things. A man of God. I'm thrilled to be able to just sit here and talk with you today, and be able to capture your story. I know you have a unique journey. I think it's unique because not many people have taken the path that you've taken in life.
Yes.
And so they don't have the opportunity to say they've been through what you've been through. But there are many,
right,
at least. So we haven't said that. I want you to, tell us about a season of your life where God began to lead you to heal unaddressed pain in your heart. Start wherever you like.
All right. So in this journey, it starts with me being in the military. Did 14 years in the military, Air Force to be exact, and was hoping to make it to 20 years. So at year 14, I find out that, I was diagnosed with a blood disorder, lupus. And so dealing with that, thinking that, that I would be able to stay in the military with this disease and manage it enough to where I would make 20. It came to the realization that that's probably not going to be the best thing. And so in that, dealing with my commanders and certain people in my leadership, they really didn't treat me. They didn't treat me the way that I thought, a leader would treat somebody that was dealing with a life disease, that could potentially, I could die from, So continuing with the story, so I went through hundreds of blood tests to come to find out that I did have this disease. And so being treated the way I was treated, I thought that, I would have they would treat me a little easier, but, came to find out that, I had a lot of people that were against me because, of the person that I was. So, getting to the end of my career, they ended up medically retiring me, which means, that I didn't get my retirement and they gave me a supplement retirement. In that moment, I felt that, I had failed my family. And even before that, I started to deal with a lot of anger that affected my life with my wife and my kids. I would come home angry and really not address my issues with my wife as far as, how I was feeling and, the potential of this disease affected me enough to where I could possibly have to have a lung transfusion, or I could possibly, pass away. That was on the forefront of my mind. Not being able to see my kids, not being able to actually like finish my life, empty out my life to my kids and my family, and so that put me into a point of depression where I really didn't feel like doing much of anything. The things I used to like to do, it became uninteresting to me, and it felt like I was going to the point of where I didn't want to really live. There's that part of my life I never really talked about. So it was a lot of the stuff I was internalizing and not really talking to people about. So it was a combination of that, and then finally getting let go of out of the Air Force. I didn't start healing until almost 4 years after that. Once I got out, I tried to go to school to try to get myself, going, to not think about it, to not think about depression, to not think about trying to feel like I was doing something. But that didn't end well because I ended up, my GPA ended up failing, and I didn't address the issues with that. I didn't address the issues, and it really, put me into more of depression. Not really wanting to be around people. Before I got out, I used to be a real social person. Used to have parties every summer. Used to have a lot of people over. It got to the point where I just didn't want to be around anybody, and there was a lot of trust lost in people that I had. So with that's where it kind of started to affect me.
So it seems, this all kind of spurned out of the diagnosis.
Yes.
Loss of career. So then now comes in the fear of what the future may look like.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling like a failure internally.
Yes.
Managing fear of things that's outside of your control. And now that leads you to a place of depression, a dark place. So tell me about, what was the journey like where God began to lead you out of that into a place of wholeness?
So it was a slow journey. There was a lot of, being able to just, talk about what I was going through, my feelings, and really being honest with myself that, I did have an issue. I did have a problem. And actually be able to express that to other people, and actually talk about it. One thing that really hurts a person whenever they're going through like pain, and be able to start healing, you have to be honest with yourself. You really do have to be honest with yourself, and then find somebody that you can trust and actually talk to that person about that. If you don't have a wife or a husband or something like that, you have to find somebody. You can't internalize all of those feelings yourself. So it came to a point to where I ended up, confiding in my wife and talking to her about my feelings. She may not have understood everything, but that wasn't the actual point of, letting that go, actually speaking it out loud, and then that's when the healing kind of started. And then the process after that, it was a slow process. I took small victories. After I fell out of school, they suspended me. It was 2 years after that I started to realize that, you know, my family does need me. They do need me. And it may be a sacrifice on myself to actually try to push through it, but that's something that I realized that needed to happen, because I could tell that my family was failing, because they see their dad, you know, always yelling, they didn't really do anything wrong, but, you know, yelling at him and fussing at him about small things that, in retrospect, that it really wasn't that, you know, that bad. So at that point when I saw that my family was being affected, that's when I realized that there's something that has to be done. So, you know, trying to do more things, as far as for myself, because you can't really do stuff for other people without, you know, trying to do it for yourself first. You know, trying to find joys in life, and, you know, taking small victories. A small victory that I had was, I ended up going to, after the fail of school, I ended up going to school to be a tax preparer. So that small victory that I finished the tax school and finished that year, it kind of propelled me to move forward with my life, because you can't get comfortable in your pain. That's one thing, you know, I see a lot of people, they get comfortable in their pain and being hurt. So you have to move out into uncomfortable situations to kind of help you to move on.
Yeah, one important thing you just said, like, the recovery process, healing can be very uncomfortable, but the discomfort is necessary for growth, for change. And, you know, just hearing what you said, basically God reignited purpose in you where you didn't feel like you had one once you lost your career. And he also gave you inner peace to address things that were there, but he did that through community and communication. I think that's a very powerful thing. Having said that, can you highlight at least one benefit that you got from taking the journey to healing, and last piece of advice that you may offer to someone else who may be matriculating through something similar, even suffering silently, whatever their situation is?
So one benefit, I'll give you a couple benefits. I still have my family. My kids are growing. As far as, like, mentally, they're not damaged as they could have been. I still have my house. I still have my wife. Things are actually moving better as far as life goes. And one thing one advice that I would give somebody that may be going through it silently, you have to find somebody to actually talk to. It may be uncomfortable, but in that finding somebody to talk to, you have to find somebody that's not going to talk about your business. It's not going to put you out on Front Street. It's not going to throw you under the bus, but can actually, you know, pray for you. Prayer is an important thing. That communication with God is an important thing, because even if you don't have somebody, God is still there. He is still there. Even if you can't understand it, God will give you an inner peace that you know will surpass what you can understand. So even that praying will also help.
Well, I thank you for sharing your beautiful journey to the river, and I'm going to continue to pray as you matriculate and take your journey further, and you immerse in the waters of God even deeper, even as you manage your health and all of those things. But I know you're a resilient person, and you're a fighter, and you're a person that has hope, and I know that. And so I just thank you, and I know that your story will be a blessing to many people.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Life is lived on a long road to God's ordained destiny for your life. Along the way, you may endure the tolls of pain, bridges of disappointment, the traffic of trauma, or a combination of them all. Like many, you become accustomed to surviving these challenges without ever addressing the impact that they have on the wholeness of your soul. However, God wants you to be whole just as much as He wants you to be His. So the beautiful part about the road of destiny is that it always runs parallel to the river of God. There is always an opportunity to go to His healing waters. The journey to this river is not without its challenges. In the newly released title, Journey to the River, author Sheree James offers spiritual insight and practical wisdom that helps you navigate and endure the healing work that lies ahead. From this book, you will gain God's heart for your wholeness, insight to prepare for your journey, wisdom to manage your healing process, and the courage to begin or finish your inner healing journey. Learn more at journeytotheriver.me.